Hello, my name is John Austin. I am the CEO and founder of John Austin Music and Marketing, L.L.C. I like to call it J.A.M.M for short, J.A.M.M. One of the reasons why I started my company is because I wanted to make videos where I could put out content that would encourage and inspire other musicians that are in the music industry that are trying to make it like I'm trying to make it. One of the things that I've discovered, having been a working musician, professional musician for over 30 years, is that there's a very few percentage of working musicians that make it into the music industry. And of those individuals that actually do make it, there's an even smaller percentage of them that make enough money to live on, to do it for a living. So most working musicians, they either have a 9-to-5 job or they have some other type of music hustle. Maybe they teach. Maybe they are receiving financial support from a sponsor or from those that would just gift them financial support. Or they are a benefit of nepotism. Maybe they have a relative or somebody that's in the industry and they open the door up for them. I wasn't really fortunate to have any of those to be an avenue for income consistently. And so what I learned how to do was pawn. And so this video is about the art of pawning. Because maybe you might have one of those avenues to get extra income, but still maybe ends aren't meeting. And this was a means that I could make ends meet. So the first thing that someone might ask is, what do I pawn? What could I take to a pawn shop to get a loan for? The simple answer is, what do you own? What do you possess that you also have a great deal of knowledge about its value? If your answer was nothing, well then don't pawn. Because pawn shops like the one behind me and all over the country, they make millions of dollars off of people who pawn items that they have no idea about what they're worth, and they get took advantage of. One of the things that I really want to kind of bring home and make a real big point of is that pawning is a lifestyle. It's a business. And if you want to be successful at it, you have to treat it like a business. You have to treat it like it's part of your lifestyle. So if you're a beginner or you're a novice, why don't you just take a day and take a trip to a pawn shop? Or better yet, maybe not go start at a pawn shop. Maybe you might want to start at a yard sale or an estate sale or even Craigslist. You can surf Craigslist from the comfort of your own home. And then once you've decided how much you could afford to spend on purchasing an item, practice buying stuff. Practice deal making. Practice your negotiation skills. Go to a yard sale and practice making a deal for something with a yard sale owner or a estate sale person, even someone on Craigslist. But practice buying, because that is an essential skill for being successful at pawning. And just to kind of reinforce that, to be successful at pawning, you have to be skillful at making offers. You have to be skillful at negotiating a deal. And most importantly, you have to be disciplined to walk away from a bad deal. I'm going to say those three things again. You have to be skillful at making offers. You have to be skillful at negotiating a deal. And you have to be disciplined enough to walk away from a bad deal. And it's only when you become a skillful buyer that you're ready to pawn. Now let me set the stage. You will only pawn from two positions. The first position that you will pawn from is when you are on the upside of your money, when you're on the upside of your finances. That's the optimum position to pawn from. The second side is when you're on the downside of your money, when you're on the downside of your finances. So here's rule number one. Try to avoid being completely broke when you attempt to pawn an item. There's a movie called The Matrix Reloaded, and there's a character in that movie called the Merovingian. And he said this: choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without power. When you are completely broke, the pawnbroker has all the power and you are at their mercy. Which means the choice you will get, I will refer to as a lowball offer. That is when a person without power is offered the minimum amount possible in a loan for an exchange of an item. I'm going to say that one more time. When you are completely broke, the pawnbroker has the power and you are at their mercy, which means the choice you will get, I will refer to as a lowball offer. That is when a person without power is offered the minimum amount possible in a loan in exchange for an item. But remember this, even if you're broke, you always have two options when you're lowballed. You can either accept it or you can walk away. This is what I consider the downside of money. When you are powerless and at the mercy of a pawnbroker. Now later on, I'm going to give you some strategies how to overcome the downside. Finally, if you decide to accept a lowball offer, look at it this way. It will be easier for you to redeem that item when you come into money to spend. Okay. The upside of money, and you're going to see that today because I'm going to actually redeem the only two loans I have here, which is going to put my pickup percentage at 100%, and then I'm going to also have them appraise some items that I brought with me so you can get a sense of how that works. The upside of money is when you visit the pawnbroker to redeem items you have pawned and you're not there to get a loan. That's when you're on the upside. So here comes rule number two. As I stated earlier, for a person who is to be successful at pawning, it's a lifestyle, it's a business. You are always buying even when you pawn. And here's the key. You buy merchandise to make money. You pawn merchandise to give yourself time. Let me say that again. You buy merchandise to make money. You pawn merchandise to give yourself time. So what does that mean, for instance? If I have a phone bill that's due and it's 3 days before I get paid, you do a pawn to cover that bill, and when you get paid, you redeem the pawn. This is the key. This is pawning on the upside of money. Now, rule number three. The absolute barrier to a successful pawn loan is the appraisal process. You must know the item that you're getting ready to pawn in and out. If you don't know or have knowledge of the value of the item that you're pawning, you could get lowballed and you don't even know it. Vice versa. If you have knowledge about the item you want to pawn, because you have practiced buying at yard sales and at estate sales on Craigslist, then you could properly negotiate, make offers, or walk away. in the appraisal process. Again, before you try to pawn, become a skillful buyer first. Another thing about practicing buying is that it teaches you how to spot and identify a good deal when you see one. Good deals usually appear suddenly and out of the blue. So you have to be looking for them, or you will miss them when they come. The group T.L.C. had a song that said, it was a hit song that said, "Don't go chasing waterfalls." A good piece of advice is stay in the lane of your knowledge. Again, pawnbrokers make millions off of people who, without knowledge of the value of the items they pawn, get burned. Stay away from items you know little to nothing about. For me personally, when I'm buying merchandise on Craigslist or at garage sales or at estate sales, etc., I avoid jewelry, I avoid firearms, and I avoid high-dollar electronic items. First reason, this is what I call the shady realm. Items like this carry a huge risk of being stolen merchandise. Number two, shady people traffic in the sale of these kinds of merchandise. Number three, only purchase these kinds of items from reputable sellers where you can get a receipt of purchase. And finally, realize the margin of profit on these items is volatile and unstable because their value fluctuates because there are so many variables that control it. I.e., maybe you purchase a laptop and a year later it's obsolete because they've come out with a new version or an upgraded version or a faster chip. Rule number 4, and probably the most important rule for pawning: don't drop loans. And in addition to that, if you have to drop a loan, go buy it back as soon as you get the money, i.e. the day after it drops. And if you can't even buy it back, maybe you can just put it on layaway. This lifestyle, this business is about relationships and reputation and future money. Know your pawnbrokers and make sure they like you. They have thousands of dollars to loan you. I'm going to say that again. They have thousands of dollars to loan you. The first thing you want to remember is that when you drop a loan, that pawnbroker is going to remember that you burned him or her. Second, it's going to lower your pickup percentage rate. Third, you lose future money on being able to repawn an item for a higher appraisal amount because you picked it up before, or maybe it appraises for a higher value in the future. You know, some items that you may have, like I do guitars, and as guitars get older, they go up in value. So if you drop a loan, you lose the future money that that item might bring you. Now remember, I told you earlier I was going to give you some strategies for when you have to pawn on the downside of money and you don't want to get lowballed by a pawnbroker. The first strategy is that you build relationships with the brokers by keeping your word and not letting stuff drop. I.e., if you have a 100% pickup rate, being broke will not prevent you from making a successful pawn. Number 2, when you're on the downside of money, don't appraise new merchandise. Go to the pawnbroker you know and rewrite a loan for an item that you had appraised when you were on the upside. Rule number 5, and I stated earlier and I'm going to keep saying it, pawning is a lifestyle. It's a business, and you're always buying. When I buy, I use the principle of the littles. And what is the principle of the littles? I'm only going to buy something that I could sell at a pawn shop and make a 15% to 20% profit margin on the sale, or at least a 50% profit return on the purchase price if I pawn it. So again, if I'm going to sell the item, I'm only going to buy something that I can see a 15 to 20% profit margin. If I'm going to pawn it, I want to see a 50% profit margin. But again, always be buying. Always be looking for items that may have hidden equity. Avoid buying items you cannot afford to keep if you get lowballed when you try to sell it or when you try to pawn it. 100% of successful pawning is being a good buyer, a good deal maker, a good negotiator. Rule number 6, and this is the final rule, and this is a very advanced strategy. You find items at a pawn shop with hidden equity and you lay them away. These would be items that you don't have the cash on hand to purchase immediately, but over time you can afford them. Let's say you put an item on layaway while you're on the upside of money. You make enough payments where it's half paid for or within your reach financially to go ahead and buy it. Next, you see on the horizon, you're about to hit the downside. So now what you do is you take the cash that you have on hand, redeem the layaway, and then turn around and immediately pawn it to get the money you need to cover the bill until you get paid. Then you redeem the loan on that item. This is a very, very, very advanced principle and should only be attempted when you have a firm ability to forecast your cash flows. And with this, I'm closing this section of the video. I learned how to pawn successfully because in times of financial need, it was the only way that I had to secure money when I was on the downside of money. I have two final tips that I want to leave you, and then I'm going to give you a demonstration here. The first tip is save all your receipts for everything. Go to Walmart, buy yourself one of those cheap plastic bins, and put your receipts inside of it. Even if you buy a piece of bubble gum. On the high end, you can do like I do. I reconcile every receipt once a week, and I put it on a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. That way I can see where every penny goes. I guarantee you, if you put that kind of energy into tracking your finances, you'll sleep better at night. The second tip is this. Always test merchandise before you buy it to make sure that it works. Now watch this. There's a caveat to this tip. Just because it doesn't work or is broken does not automatically negate a sale. But it does mean you can leverage that against a final purchase price. For instance, if I'm looking at a guitar that's missing a tuning knob, or it doesn't have a case, or the volume knob is missing or it doesn't work, I'm still maybe going to purchase that guitar and then have it repaired, and then I'm going to sell it for more than I bought it for. Again, know your lane, offer a lower price, buy it, fix it, sell it for more than you paid for it. Now I'm going to take you inside the store. Hopefully they're going to let me do this. And I'm going to show you, first of all, how I redeem items. And then I'm going to get a couple items that I purchased appraised. Now let me give you some background on the items that I'm going to get appraised. The first one is a guitar that I bought at a yard sale for $40. It was broken, and so I put $100 into it to have it repaired. So that's the first one. It's a black and white Fender Strat. The second one, I was at another pawn shop, and I saw this guitar on sale for $290, and I put it on layaway, paid on it month by month, and then I finally picked it up. That's a white Fender Strat. So in total, 140 plus 290. If my math is right, you add 100, that's 390. Add 40, it's going to be $430 that I invested. Let's see how much I could get if I was going to get a loan. Come on, let's go inside. I'm dealing with his name is Jeremy, and I have done literally thousands of dollars in business with Jeremy, and he's a wonderful pawnbroker, very knowledgeable about the game, and he's been gracious enough to allow me to put some of his skills on film. So while he's working with this other person, I'm going to take these guitars out. He's still busy, so I'm going to work. Basically, in the last 10 years, I've probably done over $100,000 in pawn business at varying pawn shops here in Denver. And I've been very successful at it. I've made money. Sometimes I've lost money, but it's something that I've done that has created another stream of income for me. And that is the object, is that you can create another stream of income, especially if you're in a position like I am, being a working musician, but you have ebb and flows, you have feast and famine, and there are those lulls in your finances where you need to be able to pay a bill, you need to cover something. But the key to making pawns work for you is you already know when you're going to have the money to redeem what you get the loan on. That's why I said you buy merchandise to make money, but you pawn to give yourself time. You don't pawn to make money, because what ends up happening is you over loan, and then you can't pick the item up, and then you either have to drop it or you end up continually paying monthly interest, and that starts to add up. So loaning, pawning is a short-term means of getting the money you need in the moment. He's still talking, so while he's doing that, I'm going to show you the guitars real quick. This is the one that I bought at the yard sale. I had to get it repaired, but it's a very nice Stratocaster. This is the one that I had on layaway. Could you redeem a loan for me? Okay. I'm gonna get Jeremy to prison, but I have another broker that's gonna redeem my loan for me, and then that's gonna be the first part. upside when you're at the shop and you're taking out everything you got in there. This is actually just, I'm going to put on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube. This is not actually. This is Jesus. Me and Jesus go back a ways too. These guys are really great. I come in here probably twice a week. Hang out. Yeah. Is that Jefferson? Can't ever have too many of those, right?
Now you print them out by yourself.
Thank you. You want a bag for that or anything?
Yeah, I think you do. Put a roll around on it. We'll come back to you.
Okay. And so my pickup percentage rate is what right now?
I'll have to look at the screen.
Okay. It's 100%, but I'm gonna get him to say it.
Yeah, you do have it at 100.
Okay, that's fine.
Sure. As soon as it comes back, you want me to give you a call?
Yeah.
This is Jeremy. Say hi, Jeremy. Jeremy's the man right now.
So. Yep. We're here all day. Thanks, slave driver. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, pouring in.
All right. So that.
And then.
That puts me on the upside because now I have redeemed everything I had in here, and I have 100% pickup rate.
Bingo. He's a 100%er.
Tell him your name. He always teases me the best jokes.
My name's Tom.
This is Tom. Tom is the man too.
Tom's Pool Hall.
These guys are great for reals. But this is the biggest part of pawning is that you got to get to know your brokers. You got to get them. They got to like you because they got thousands of dollars to give away. But if they don't like you, you won't get it. So now we're moving over to Jeremy, and Jeremy's going to appraise some guitars that I purchased. Jeremy, how you feeling today?
Shoot again.
Okay. Here's the first one. Tell them what you're doing, Jeremy, when you appraise the guitar.
I've got a website I go to. It's a Gibson serial number finder.
Mm-hmm.
Put in various companies that are on this decoder.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the factors that will make a guitar worth more or worth less?
Where it's made.
Branding.
Yeah, but where it's made
Okay.
is mostly the.
So would you agree that a person who wants to be successful at pawning needs to be knowledgeable of the items that he's pawning?
It doesn't hurt. But then when people start looking things up, if they don't look them up the right way,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't understand how, the breakdown works,
Mm-hmm.
then they ask for too much money and get offended when we're only offering them a smaller fraction than they would have expected in the first place.
And there's also wicked pawnbrokers, right? That'll just lowball you if they know you don't know better, right?
Right.
So that's the one cool thing about Jeremy. I've known Jeremy for over almost 7 or 8 years. And once you get a pawnbroker that does you right, do them right. I never drop loans as much as I can, and if I drop something, I go and pick it up as soon as I can. can, but you want to take care of them because you're always going to need them to take care of you.
Under normal circumstances, John, for one like this, so the serial number told me that it's made in Mexico. It's a Mexican fender.
Okay.
98, 99.
Mhm.
The approximate year it was made down there.
Mhm.
So I found one. It doesn't say what year.
Mhm.
Well, no, it does. It says 2001 or 2002.
Mhm.
So we're 3 or 4 years off
Mhm.
from the other one, the one that I found. This one is,
Mhm.
and that's going for about 4. So I would, if I was blowing through guitars, I'd probably pay up to $200 for this.
Mhm.
But the way that usually goes, how I sell guitars, I'd probably only put like 120 to 140 or something like that.
Mhm.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, something like that. 1 to 140, I would say.
Mhm. So because of my reputation with you, would you let me do it for 200?
For you.
Okay. That's all.
I'd probably do that for you.
Okay. All right.
Just because you're my dog.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So that's that one. And then let's do.
Another Fender, John?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is brand new too.
Is it
I got the serial.
brand new to you? Like just
No.
picked it up?
I think what happened was when I bought it, somebody had pawned it and they dropped it. But I still didn't even have the.
No, this one's definitely made in Mexico. It says so right there. And I think the MX is indicative of where it's made as well in the serial number. So
Right. So it even has the.
yeah. So yeah, this is brand new.
Mhm.
Early, 2021 early.
Yeah.
2022.
It still has it. Well, it came with the finger and everything. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
But it's. I don't know. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's ever been played because I haven't played it yet.
Did you need that for me, John?
Yes, sir. Yep.
There's a black one. It looks like it listed for 8.
Okay.
Free shipping. A 2021.
In this case, I looked at this case. The case is $230, and it's a brand new hard shell molded case. So the guitar, when I checked it at Guitar Center, brand new, it was $879. The case was $230.
Right.
So they told me roughly $1,200 with tax that this works.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about spot on.
Mhm.
So
So would you go half of that or a little bit more?
for you.
So about 6 or 7?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't go that much. 8 is
Okay.
where I'm seeing it go. I think I returned for that price because it's crossed out. The rest of them there's only 2 more.
Would you go 5?
No, I'd probably do like 4 for you.
450.
If you needed it. For
I'm
you.
good for it. 450.
I would do 4.
4?
I couldn't go more than 4 on it. And that's just a my dog John Austin deal.
I'll get you on a good day. Listen, Jeremy, thank you so much.
My pleasure, John.
Tell my audience hi. And appreciate him for listen, I'm out. That's the end of my show. But I appreciate you guys watching and look for the next video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.